Here we are at the University Campus Suffolk, and I've got Rosie Carter here from SAFE, CIC. She's the CEO from this organisation who are very kindly hosting this wonderful web resource. Some of the research has shown us, Rosie, that parents and carers, teachers, professionals are worried about young people's behaviours online. We've indicated several different behaviours that parents are concerned about, but one in particular is about contact. And if I can just unpick that a little bit, it's about children posting information online about themselves, personal information online, and unfortunately attracting unwanted attention from people who are using that information for their own purposes. As an experienced safeguarding officer yourself, and having all this wonderful experience in your company as a professional, what sort of advice would you give to children and young people, but also parents, about what they're putting online about themselves?
I think parents, carers and children need to understand that anything that you put onto the internet, you can try and obliterate it, erase it, but you can never get that information or that photograph back. And people don't realise the scale of the internet, because of course it's global and it's particularly difficult to police. I mean, our major concern is that children who are normally quite safe in their own family and environment are actually taking enormous risks because they don't understand the consequences when they're on their iPhone or their iPad or their laptop. So for children, it's very much, be very careful about giving out your personal details so you can't be identified in terms of age, school, address, and be aware that anyone can see those. And of course, parents and carers talk to your children about what they're accessing and to see what they are posting online, whether it's on social media or gaming or any other website. Yeah,
that's really, really important, and that's really good advice, because I think I've been to some Safer Internet days that we've worked on together, and we've said to children, you know, if you wouldn't post this information in the window of Tesco's or your local supermarket, why on earth would you put it online? Because as you've just said, it goes global, and people that you don't know can contact you, and they feel as though they do know you because they've already got a lot of your information there. They often know what school you go to, who you hang out with, where you live, all sorts of hobbies, your likes, your dislikes. So suddenly they'll start talking to you, and it's as if they know you already. So they've got that kind of insight into you and what you do on a daily basis. What are some of the consequences of that then, Rosie, in your experience and from the research that you've done? What are some of the consequences of these online behaviours?
Well, unfortunately, some of these consequences can be very, very serious. Our research, which mirrors national research, consistently year on for SID 2014 that we're doing this time, will show that possibly 1 in 20 young people aged 10 to 13 are meeting new people online in whatever medium and then carrying on to meet them face to face. Now, some of those young people will be other young people, however, some of those will actually be adults who are totally strangers to them, and they take enormous risks. The children get themselves at risk of dangerous sexual exploitation, assault, all sorts of dreadful crimes may occur, and parents and carers are not realising the risks their children are taking doing it.
So some of these perpetrators are actually posting themselves as young people, so they're sort of shielding their own identity, making up profiles to talk to children and young people, enticing them to meet, and then when they do meet, of course, then there's a whole lot of dangers. And that's a worryingly high percentage, isn't it?
It's a very high percentage, and it's also about the concept of you can be anybody, absolutely anybody you want, online, outside and away from the real world. So children, when we're talking with them and working with them in schools, one of the questions we ask, particularly when they're 10, 11 and under, is how many of you have a Facebook or other social media page, and probably half will put their hands up. Our next question, of course, is what did you do to access that? And of course they have to say they lied. And I think hopefully that turns it round to make them realise that other people out there are also lying and giving out, you know, misleading information.
Absolutely. And I think also we've seen on there's some cracking CEOP videos in the Think You Know area, and also available on YouTube, which are really, really helpful for parents and young people themselves. I know we've used them in assemblies before, haven't we? And you do see children realising that actually what they're putting online is particularly risky. And as you said in the very beginning, online behaviours have offline consequences, and you actually can't retrieve those photos once they're online. So if you take a photograph of yourself and post it online, anybody can copy that photograph, splice it, change it, move it around. It can be used for bullying, it can be used to familiarise yourself with the person, and for a whole lot of different ways. And I think it's not just children that are prone to this kind of behaviour. I know a lot of adults are putting their children's information on their Facebook profiles as well, aren't they?
And that's another major concern we have on the social media websites. And you can understand parents being very proud of their newborn babies and young children, but they do really need to think about what other information is hooked up to that photograph that people can misuse either today or in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's because it's so instant. We can put a photograph online very quickly, but it's nigh on impossible to take it off, isn't it?
And there's no time for reflection, is there? 2 clicks, one photograph taken, put onto a social media or YouTube or any other media.
And it has today's consequences as well, but actually in the future, especially if you're applying for jobs, etc., and employment, it can really scupper your chances, can't it?
It can.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking to us about some of the areas that we need to be concerned about, and I'm sure that people watching this video, these will be familiar topics to them, and maybe that we should educate our children and ourselves about putting things online, but making sure that we really have time for reflection before we hit that send button.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alison.
Thanks very much.